In this video, you'll learn how I help my students transition from printing to cursive. Notice I didn't say learn cursive, I said transition, because cursive isn't learned independently. It evolves from printing. Be sure to watch to the end of this video where I'll explain how the skills all fit together and how you can teach your own child properly. Welcome to Yellow Pad Videos from the Tutor's Place. Whether you're a parent, grandparent, or anyone who wants to help a child learn, this is your channel to learn exactly how to do it. Every lesson is quick, simple, and fun, and always about excellence. So if you're new here or haven't yet joined the community, click the subscribe button below and tap the bell icon so you don't miss any new videos when they're uploaded. Hi, I'm Michelle Grunwald. In the real world, I teach students the academic skills they need, then I teach them how to learn so they can succeed both in school and in life. Here in the cyber world, I show you, the parents, the programs and teaching techniques that I've developed and used with my students at the Tutor Center so that you can use them and see if they help your children at home. In this fourth video in the handwriting series, you'll see how I teach my students proper paper and hand placement, as well as the difference between printing and cursive when writing. If you haven't seen the first videos on teaching printing, the links are below in the description, and I strongly recommend that you go ahead and watch those as well, since cursive, as I've mentioned, is a transition from printing. It's not an independent skill, so it's important that your child is printing properly before moving on to cursive. So let's go ahead and do a quick review of all of the supplies and the skills that we need before we start into the cursive, because review is always the most important part of learning. Okay, one of the things I'd like you to notice is that as we go through the different videos, the reviews actually get quicker from the beginning. So here is our shopping list from the first video. You have your number 2 wooden pencil. And it's 6-sided. We have erasers, lots of fun erasers. Make sure you have plenty of them for the students. We have a handheld pencil sharpener so it can be left on the desk and you can grab it whenever you need it. And of course, grips. Now I say these are for little ones. They can be for anybody, but these are little rubber gummy worm looking things that go on the pencil. And of course, your manuscript paper with the blue and the dotted lines so that you can distinguish between tall letters and short letters. And don't forget, please don't move on until you've seen the other videos. The information and the details on the importance of getting the correct manuscript paper and pencils and stuff is in the first video. If you haven't seen it, watch that. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is paper and hand placement. Remember, you don't want the paper on the edge of the table. It's hard to show. My camera is actually being held in a grip above the table, so I can't move it around. Now, I'm on the edge of the table right now. Watch. I'm going to move it all the way up, and then I'm going to turn it about 45 degrees. You can see there's an angle here with the grain of the wood. And the hand is not resting on the edge of the table. If this were the edge of the table here, you don't want your hand like this. Okay, you want it well up on the table. So, paper up on the table at approximately a 45-degree angle, and your hand well up on the table so a good part of your arm is resting on the table, and you don't have to use your wrist to hold your hand in place. That way you can move it around and be more comfortable to write. Next, of course, is grip. Holding the pencil, I see all kinds of, I hate to say it, but horrific grips from the students. They hold it like this, and like this. Okay, folks, this is a grip that became popular when long fingernails became popular. That's the only reason people grip their pencil like that anymore. Is because the extra long fingernails can't grasp the pencil on the top. See how it's on top there? I have a shorter nail there. I see them actually holding the pencils like this. And I saw that when I was a little girl. Some of the kids did that. And it's very uncomfortable. You can't get the proper movement with the hand. And everything else has to be adapted. It's very important that the pencil's held properly. Use the first 3 fingers, or 2 fingers and a thumb. Okay, your pointer finger's on top. The thumb and the second finger hold the pencil approximately an inch from the tip. Now, the important thing is that's for printing. And that is in, I believe it was in the first video. And I'm going to switch over to a pen and I'll review those. And if you'll also notice, I've magically turned the lights on because I forgot. Being a real tutor center, different pens and pencils disappear, so my Sharpie's missing, so I'm going to try this with a regular ink pen. Quick review of the printing strokes. Remember, the first one is called a frown, and you go from just below the line, you go up and around. See that? Up and around. This pen's kind of fuzzy. Do that again. Up and around. Then if you keep going, you get a C or an O, an A. Lots of letters formed with the frowns. Okay, the next letter, hand stroke for printing, is called chairs. At least that's what I call them. The stroke is from the top, down, up, and around. You get an H, you keep going, you get a B. And finally, the last of the strokes is a simple stick. straight down. Notice always from the top down. That's in video 2 of the printing video, so it's really important that you've watched that one and you've practiced these strokes. You've got to become comfortable with them so that you can then transition them into the cursive strokes, which we will now get to. Even though I'm reviewing arm and hand placement, I'm going to be describing the transitions for you, so this is really important. This is the first step in teaching cursive. First is the pencil grip. And remember, the pencil grip for print was about an inch from the end with the index finger on top, 2 fingers holding it. And we talked about the wrist. I'll put that down. So the wrist is rolled almost completely over onto the paper here. It's very tight. Okay. What we're going to do now for cursive is we're going to roll it back. This time we are going to put it on the meat of the hand right here, not here, over here on the side. So your hand is actually sitting sideways on the paper. I can't even reach the paper. I'm about 1/4 of an inch from the paper. So what I have to do is move up on the pencil about 1/2 inch if I can touch the paper with it. And that's really important in cursive. Now you're a little bit further away, about 1/2 inch further up the pencil, and you've rolled your hand over onto its side. So you can do this. Also notice my wrist is straight. Okay, I don't want this. I don't want this. Position your hand on the paper so that when you touch the paper, your wrist stays straight. And then you can use your fingers to make the motion. This is the beginning placement for cursive. Hand is rolled over to the side. Pencil's pushed up a little bit further so that you can touch the paper comfortably with it. Just sit there. See, it's right on the paper. Now, I'm going to move this paper around a little bit and try it this time. Bear with me. These videos are actually my very first videos, so I'm not sure how I'm doing here. I'm experimenting as I go. How's that? We'll kind of keep it right in the middle there. The stroke. Again, I'm going back to print. Hand flat or wrist flat. See my flat wrist. The finger almost straight up and down so I can make a nice straight line here. I'm going to roll my hand over. I'm going to move my pen or pencil up a little further. And now when I pull down, look what's happening. It's no longer a straight line. It's angled. And that's the angle for cursive. So that's all you want to do to start with. Make sure your students can make that straight line. Put the pencil up, pull the fingers down from the top, straight down, but it'll go off to an angle. That's formed by proper hand and wrist placement. If you're too close to the end, you're going to have to bend your wrist. Don't do that. That's why you push the pencil forward a little bit. So your wrist stays comfortable. The motion is in the fingers. It's just a pull or a push down with this finger like this. Push down. And that's the cursive slant. Now, technically, I am done with positioning and placement, and that will be the end of this video. So I'd like you to notice it is moving more quickly because you have the fundamental skills from the first 3 videos to build on. So we don't have to go back over all that so we can move on. So let's go into a couple basic strokes to practice before the next video. I want the upstroke. The easiest ones are straight up, straight down, up, down. Notice there's no loop. You go up and then you trace the line back down again and then curve it around. This is going to take a lot more work than printing. Okay, but that's okay. You've got plenty of time. I don't care if you spend a whole week, maybe 5 or 10 minutes a day working on this. The meat at the side of your hand is on the paper. The pencil's pushed forward enough to rest gently on the paper without bending your wrist. You start and you go swoop up. Trace that line all the way down and then swoop up. Trace the line all the way down, swoop up, and just keep doing that. A second stroke that you can practice, similar to this one. Students really like this, but you have to be careful. What's really fun is watching them the first time they get carried away. You swoop, and this time you loop around. And do it again. And again. And just keep doing these loop-de-loops. However, when a student first tries it, they often have a lot of fun with it and ends up looking nice and neat, and then it gets big and fat and silly and small, and it's round and goes all over the place, and sometimes in the middle. And that's fine. The lesson here is look what happens when you're not careful. So we do need to take our time and make each stroke nice and neat. Swoop. Come around on your loop. Swoop. Come around on your loop, swoop, and just keep doing this. If your student can get comfortable making these fairly neatly within a week, you are doing great. Practice the transition from the hand flat and choked up on the pencil for printing. Push your pencil forward a little bit, roll your hand, and practice making those downward strokes at a slant. Practice making these little swoop lines and the loops. And that is more than enough for several lessons. So let's stop there. If you haven't done already, I'm going to say it again. I'll probably say it a million more times. Watch the first 3 videos on printing and make sure you can master that and then move on to this one so you can transition properly to the cursive and get started on that. In the next video, I'll be finishing the different strokes. We'll be exploring the different letters and how to form them. And in the third and final video, we'll be putting it all together. To end this video, I'd like to leave you with an important tip. Now, this is a tip for you, not for the kids. I know in the last videos, there's been tips on how you can help your children. This is one for you, and it comes because a friend of mine made a comment, made me realize I think I need to discuss this. For today's tip, I simply want to talk to you about the past 3 videos because a friend of mine was watching some videos for me, and she mentioned that she loved how I mentioned each video in the next video, so people will go back and watch them. And she said with a smile and a wink, great job getting somebody, to watch a series of videos, binge watching. And I realized, yeah, that's what people are told to do for YouTube, but this isn't about my YouTube algorithm. This is about what's best for your students. So please, no, it's not about binge watching. Do not binge watch these videos. I know it would help me more, but it's not about me, it's about you. The first video is teach your child to write right. Okay, I like to play with words. Watch it, practice it, get your supplies. Don't move on until you're comfortable with all the information in that video. Then move to the second one. If you get busy and it takes 2 or 3 weeks, fine. It doesn't help for you to sit and watch the videos while I do the work and say, okay, I know it. You don't know it until you've picked up your pencil and done the work yourself on the paper. So please don't rush through these. The second video, ready, set, print. You'll have all your supplies. You'll be ready to go. And you'll be able to try all the different strokes yourself. Please take the time to practice. Again, even if it takes more than a day or two, if it takes a few days, a week or two, just stick with the second video until you're comfortable with the different strokes and you're able to make the letters. And then finally, after you're comfortable making all the lowercase printed letters, you can move on to printing capitals. And only after you're comfortable with that printing from all 3 videos should you then move on to the cursive in this video. So yeah, I do ask you to watch the other videos quite often, but I'm not doing it to get more watch time. I'm doing it because it's the best practices for you to get the most out of these videos. Remember, it's not about watching them. It's about learning the techniques and practicing them yourself. All right, go ahead and practice because that's what it's all about. And when you are ready, I'll see you on the next video where we will be continuing to learn the different cursive technique and starting to write the letters.